So I saw this coming. Hello, my name is Andrea. I'm a veteran homeschool parent, a homeschool expert, and a college prep consultant. And today I want to talk about putting your child back into public school after homeschooling. So I saw this coming. You know, when we were in COVID and everyone was forced into a COVID school, when COVID started, and everyone was forced into this COVID schooling situation, a lot of parents didn't like it because it was super hard. And when they consulted with homeschoolers, I could say like me or unlike me, they were advised, you're homeschooling anyway, just go full hog homeschooling, pull your kids out of the public school system and homeschool them. And it seemed like a great idea. I even had relatives who wanted to do the same, and I asked them specifically, are you going to homeschool for 1 year? Are you going to homeschool for 2 years? Or are you going to homeschool all the way through? And I was told, I am going to homeschool all the way through. They're not. They're going back to school as well. So it was just bad advice to tell people to pull out of the public school at home system, especially when you know how hard homeschooling is when you've prepared to do it, right? Versus someone thrown into it and then made to figure it out. Chances are that they're going to go back to the public school system. So this video is for everyone who, thought they were ready to homeschool, have decided that they are not ready to homeschool, and want to put their kids back into the public school system. This is why I don't wear my hair down. So you were doing COVID school and things went shady, and you decided, if I'm going to homeschool, I'm going to homeschool on my own terms. And then the school year progressed or didn't. And, the end of the school year came and you were like, I'm not doing that again. Let's put them back in public school. But now that you've gone over to the school and started asking questions, there's been pushback. Traditionally, the pushback has been minimal. But because so many parents took their kids out of school, all the way out, and now they want to put them back in, the school is trying to do some risk mitigation. And what's happening is they're not wanting to promote your children. They're wanting to put your children back in the last grade they were in when they had them. And if your child has advanced, and sometimes that happens, a child will advance 2 years in their first year of homeschooling. Usually that happens in their second year of homeschooling, but they're absolutely not abiding with your assessment that your child has done 2 years of schoolwork. They're not doing it. So let's just go ahead and start at the beginning and talk about what you need to put your children back into public school. Typically for elementary school, especially pre-K, kindergarten, first, second, and third, they're just going to put your child in at age level. Now, if for some reason you change states and your child is older or younger than the other kids in their class, they're not going to be put back in based on where they would have been should they have stayed in school. They're going to say, your child is 6, this is their birthday, this is the grade they're going into, kindergarten or first grade. And they're going to be very black and white about it. So how do you get them to put your child into the grade that your child has earned? Because them not putting your child into the grade that your child has earned, them not putting your child into the correct grade that your child has earned is going to cause your child to feel some kind of way. They're going to become unenthused about school. We could be dealing with some depression, and we're definitely going to be dealing with just an upset child who might get a little aggressive because they don't want to be there. So it behooves us and it behooves the child to get the child back into school on a grade level they belong in. I've noticed somewhat locally that some schools are testing the children back in. That is the absolute most fair way to do it. That's going to ensure that your child hasn't jumped far ahead and skipped important steps, and that's going to ensure that the school's not pushing them back. In the absence of the schools having tests available to the children, and I'm talking like once we get to 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, you're going to want to have a standardized test taken for your child. The California Achievement Test and a few other online national standardized tests are available through online vendors, and you can just look it up and order the test. Your child will take the test at home. You send the test back, and they'll send you the scores. But since time is probably of the essence right now, if you live in the South, school's about to start. If you live in the North, you have a month. I recommend logging into an online test, because that way it's taken in real time and you'll get scores back quicker, and you can't be accused of, helping the child through the test, because it's an online timed test. And let those test scores tell them where your child is supposed to be. Traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean before COVID, you could take a homeschooler and decide, I want my homeschooler to go to public school for high school. And the way to do that has always been, the cleanest way to do it has been to let your child homeschool 6th grade, let your child homeschool 7th grade, and then take your child to a private school for 8th grade and let them prove themselves, because the public schools are going to push back. So that 1 year in private school, the child proves themselves, and that lets you know if the child is ready for 9th grade the next year, or maybe at this point they should go to a public school and do 8th grade because they've only maybe done 7th grade work. But that has been the cleanest route to go from homeschool to public schools, to spend a year or two in private school as that transition, because the private schools are going to more or less accept the grade level that you say your child is at, and they're going to help bring your child up to that grade level, or let you know, hey, your child is more advanced than you think. Let's adjust this. Private schools are just going to be more apt to adjust to your child. For middle school, you also have that option of testing your child into middle school. They're less apt to put your child in based on their actual age, but they're going to want to see proof that your child has done the schoolwork required for middle school, for the grades up to whatever grade you're trying to put them in, whether it's 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade. Normally, for high schoolers going into college, we would do something called a homeschool portfolio. This would be a good place for a homeschool portfolio, just to show, these are the textbooks we use, here's what their final exams look like, here's their writing sample, etc. You just overwhelm them with information. I'll be like, okay, your kid can come. High school is the hardest. It's very difficult to get your child into public school in the high school years. I've been saying for years that if you want your child in public high school, you need to transition them in middle school. You can't just show up with an 11th grader and expect them to say, okay, all the credits you have to have accumulated, accredited till now is forgiven. You're in the 11th grade now. Look, they still have to have 4 maths, 4 language arts, 4 sciences, 3 social studies, 2 half credits of gym, 2 full credits of foreign language, and a host of electives, period. They need that. and it has to be accredited to get them in public school. So if you have a child who may be homeschooled ninth grade, and now you want them to go back to public school for 10th grade, they're going to have to play catch up. You're going to have to go ahead and enroll them, and they're going to start them at ninth grade. But there are things that you can do to help them level up, so to speak, and accumulate some of those credits that they would have accumulated last year in their free time. There are exams that your child can take that will give them high school credit. And there are online private schools where your children can take courses on the side where those classes are accredited, and then the school they're in has to accept those classes. So I'm going to add some links with resources that you can use to prove that your child has earned maybe algebra credit. That math is going to be easiest to prove. There may be some online language arts classes they can take, and things like that. But if you get your children accepted into AP classes and things like that, that'll be a way of accelerating them. But what the schools tend to do is say, okay, well, your child's not going into the 11th grade and your child's not going into the 10th grade. They're high school, they haven't been here before, they have no accredited credits. They're going into ninth grade, but what we'll do for you is we'll put your child in honors. I guess it's a compromise, and it could be demoralizing to your child. And I know students who took this route and didn't make it all the way through because they felt demoralized. But what you can do is sit with your child and make up a plan that, okay, you're in ninth grade honors or ninth grade IB, International Baccalaureate. What we're going to do is fast track you through high school, because honestly, anybody can finish high school in 3 years regardless. Most of the really smart kids just stay the fourth year to have fun. So you can look at what's required of your child for high school, make sure that they're enrolled into classes that are going to get them through high school quickly. And then also, once they hit, I think, 16, you can go over to the college and they can do dual enrollment classes in addition and just fast track through high school. So I hope this information was helpful to you. I hope that the future years of schooling go smoothly. I hope that if you decide to homeschool again, that you do it intentionally with a plan to graduate them out of homeschooling, or an exit plan that'll get them into public schooling at the right grade and time. Because basically you just have to be able to prove that they've done the work and prove that they've learned the skills. So good luck to everyone going back to public school this year. Do me a favor and don't change your mind, because it's detrimental for the children to go back and forth from homeschool to public school to homeschool to public school. It really takes the wind out of them. They lose traction and they end up behind. And when you hear people talk about, these kids, were homeschooled and they came to my school, these are the kids that they're talking about. It takes 2 years for a homeschooler to really get traction and start accelerating through school. And likewise, it takes those same 2 years for the value of homeschooling to show up when they return to public school. So if you're going to keep homeschooling, keep homeschooling. If you have questions, ask me. If you're going to put them into public school, get together your proof that they deserve to be in the grades they deserve to be in. That's all for today. Until next time.